So let's talk about it. The Jeff Hardy urine test segment on Friday Night Smackdown. Wow. So before we even get into it, Gary Cassidy, great reporter. If you don't follow him on Twitter, definitely follow him. Wrote an article for Sportskeeda a couple of days before this segment aired, basically saying exactly what happened. He'd heard reports from a source that Jeff Hardy was going to take a urine test on SmackDown due to Sheamus. And he was absolutely spot on, even down to the doctor's name. So just a shout out to him before we get into it. So the segment on SmackDown, we have a contract signing that WWE announced ago. We're going to have a contract signing for the Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy match at Backlash. Jeff Hardy comes out, talks about Sheamus setting him up for the drunken hit and run attack on Elias a couple of weeks ago. Elias also actually does have a legitimate injury. He's going to be out again for a while. Real bad news for Elias. He just can't get any luck, can he? You know, I'm thinking back to the King of the Ring semi-final last year. He broke his ankle, I believe, or hurt his ankle. He was out, and now he's out again. Just really unfortunate for the guy. So Jeff Hardy talks about Sheamus potentially setting him up. I'm still not sure if Sheamus actually did set him up. They're being very cautious with the verbiage there. I think we could have a bit of a red herring, if you pardon the pun there. Red herring. But maybe Sheamus didn't do it after all, maybe. Jeff Hardy comes out and says Sheamus set up, tried to ruin his life, calls out Sheamus. Sheamus comes to the ring. Renee Young's there officiating this contract signing, and Sheamus says, well, maybe you want to leave the ring. I don't want Jeff Hardy to get stage fright, because Sheamus has brought out a doctor with him, along with some apparatus with a black screen to shield himself. And Sheamus says that he requested that Jeff Hardy take a urine test before they sign the contract, since can Jeff Hardy even be trusted to compete at the weekend or show up in any condition. He requested to WWE management that Jeff Hardy take a urine test, and now, unlike most urine tests that take a while to get the results back, this doctor has created a urine test that can show immediately if Jeff Hardy is on any substances, pills or otherwise. Yeah, I know. Even as I'm trying to explain this, I'm rolling my eyes, honestly. So Jeff Hardy goes into this little apparatus shielding him. He's peeing in a jug, if you will, and Sheamus does a public service announcement staring at the camera saying, just say no, or something like that. Jeff Hardy comes out with, the biggest urine sample I think I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, it was in like a pint glass or one of those like beer jugs that you see at Oktoberfest. It was massive. And it was dark, and it was almost comical how weird that was. And then Jeff Hardy says it's better to be pissed off than pissed on, and throws this giant jug of pee onto Sheamus, and that's the segment. And they brawl in the back a little bit later on. The quicker that I've got through that, the better, because it was awful. And we're going to touch on why it was awful in a second. As I mentioned as well, Jeff Hardy, dude, you need to drink more water. And you need to go to the toilet more often. The guy's obviously got a bladder like a camel. I don't know why. Why couldn't they just have a normal urine sample cup? They're not even those massive cups. It was huge. I know we're not getting Oktoberfest this year. That's been cancelled or postponed. But it looked like WWE had been to it. It was one of those glasses. It was massive. So he's super dehydrated. And obviously has, Jeff Hardy, a.k.a. the camel bladder. When they get to the back, they brawl later on. The doctor informs Sheamus that the urine test was negative for any substances, so that's what that is. But it was almost a word-for-word rip-off of the Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon segment in 2006 in the build-up for WrestleMania, honestly, down to the smallest details. That segment, Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon had Shawn Michaels. They were playing off Shawn Michaels' history, his demons, and they have him take a urine test in front of the entire crowd. Shawn Michaels then throws the sample in the face of Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon and says the exact same phrase that Jeff Hardy said on SmackDown last night. Now that segment, the one with Shawn Michaels and Vince McMahon, to me that actually worked. And the reason that worked is because it's Vince McMahon in that segment. He is the owner of the company. Whatever he wants to do, he can do. It's his company. It's his rules. Regardless of how ridiculous it is, if that's what he wants to do, he can. But when it comes to Sheamus, what authority has Sheamus got to request Jeff Hardy do a public urination test? Right? It just doesn't make any sense. And furthermore, why are we getting a contract signing for a match at Backlash with no title? What is the importance of signing a contract here? You know, how many contract signings are we going to get? That feels like a staple of this performance center era of WWE recently, is we're getting a contract signing every other week. How many contract signings are we going to get? And in the end, the contract didn't even get signed. So what was the point? Why even call it that? Why not just have Jeff Hardy do an interview and then have Sheamus come out and do it? Or maybe just not do the segment in the first place. How hard would that have been? But, you know, the contract didn't get signed. The only thing that happened to the contract is it got stained with pee. I'm surprised they don't release that picture on Instagram of this crusty yellow contract. You know, and why would WWE management or executives even allow Sheamus's request to take a urine test in the middle of the ring on network television? You know, it was a bad segment. Once again, it's a bad angle. It's in bad taste, quite literally, if you're Sheamus in this way. And the thing I always think with this whole angle, and especially with this segment last night, is Fox paid $1 billion for this. $1 billion for PP jokes. $1 billion for throwing urine in the face of a superstar. $1 billion for a jug full of dehydrated urine. $1 billion. And before SmackDown even moved to Fox, all we heard, it was hammered into our brain on every single website, Fox really wants this sports-centric presentation. Fox really wants this sports-centric presentation. They want to add this to their lineup of NFL, MLB, whatever sports they've got on the network. They're going to have a studio show on Fox Sports, you know, and they've got to analyse now on WWE Backstage in their studio show, urine throwing, right? That's that sports-centric presentation. But they wanted to add this into their lineup, NFL, NBA, MLB, whatever sport they had, and they're getting this. They're getting this. You know, we heard rumours, Fox really wants Daniel Cormier to do commentary for SmackDown. They really want Ronda Rousey on SmackDown. They want Brock Lesnar on SmackDown because they've got this sports background, this legitimate background, and it makes SmackDown feel more sports-centric. And in reality, they're getting public urine tests and urine throwing. That's that sports-centric background. Maybe, you know, because urine tests and drug tests are very, you know, prevalent in sports. But I doubt in any of these urine tests or drug tests that happen in any of these sports, they happen in an arena semi-full of people, and the person taking the test throws it in the face of the doctor. I've never heard of an NBA player do that or an NFL player do that. And another thing you have to think of is that this is likely Jeff Hardy's final run in the WWE. And he spoke about before he officially came back, when he was on WWE Backstage and when he would do interviews before he came back to SmackDown. He says, you know, I really want to work with Bray Wyatt. I'd love to have a cinematic match with The Fiend. I'd really want to have a feud with Roman Reigns or face someone like Aleister Black. Maybe reignite a feud with Edge. Face Braun Strowman. Face people he'd never faced before. No, instead he's in a pee throwing segment. Instead, he is peeing on network television, on national television, to millions of people around the world, and he is throwing this gigantic jug of pee in Sheamus's face. That's what he's going to do in his final run in WWE. And Jeff Hardy's been open about this likely being his final run. His contract's up in, I believe it's like 6 or 9 months' time. He got a lot of time added on because he's been out for it, with injuries for a while. But why would he even want to stay after this kind of angle? Surely if you're thinking, right, we don't want to let Jeff Hardy go because when he leaves WWE, he's likely going to go to an AEW. Jeff Hardy's still got drawing power. That's evident enough. That's why he's on SmackDown. That's why he's on network television. That's why he's on the most viewed show in WWE right now. Can you believe it? Even though they've got the pee throwing segments, SmackDown is still the show with the most live viewers. So obviously they know Jeff Hardy's a draw. We don't want him to go to an AEW because Jeff Hardy can draw. How do we keep him? What kind of creative can we give him to make him say, I know, why don't we get him to take a leak in the middle of the ring? It's ridiculous. Why would he even want to stay after this kind of angle where they've exploited his personal demons for monetary gain? They've shown all of his mugshots on TV. And people are going to say, well, Jeff Hardy obviously agreed to it. He must be comfortable with it. What choice does he have? Do you think he's really in the position to say no to WWE if they tell him that's what they want? If Vince McMahon says, Jeff, this is what we want to do you really think he's going to go, no, I don't want to do it? Of course he's going to say yes to it. He doesn't have a choice. And they're talking about all of his DUIs, and Sheamus is talking about him being a junkie. Jeff Hardy's last DUI was in October, and that's not even legally finished in court yet. It's because of all what's been going on with the world at the moment. Their courts have obviously been backed up, they've been shut down, they've been postponed. Jeff Hardy isn't even legally out of the woods when it comes to his last DUI. So they're making a storyline on this on network television, looking at it for monetary gain, and it's not even finished in the courts yet. We don't know what's going to happen to Jeff Hardy. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And you even look on the other side of it, it's not just about Jeff Hardy here, it's about Sheamus as well. Sheamus is out for 9 months. He talked about possibly having to retire. He's got spinal stenosis in his neck. He got into the best shape of his career. Again, this could be Sheamus's last big run, his last big push, being featured on Smackdown. And what segment is he in? He gets pee thrown in his face. Pee thrown in his face. This is a former WWE champion. This is a former world champion. And he's getting pee thrown in his face. And this all comes in a week where we've seen a creative shakeup. They're consolidating the creative teams. Paul Heyman is out of the executive director of Raw. Bruce Pritchard, the executive director of SmackDown, is now going to oversee both shows. Because the Raw ratings are down and the creative of Raw hasn't been good enough, according to Vince McMahon. And the executive director of SmackDown, Bruce Pritchard, has been put in charge of both shows' creative. And we get this on the same week that we're looking at Bruce Pritchard. Okay, what can you do for Monday nights? We get this. Oh, yeah. The ratings are going to go up for Raw, right? We need to see more of this on Raw, right? This is going to bring the ratings up from that 1.7 million mark. We just need 3 hours of urine on Monday nights. We need 3 hours of urine thrown on Monday nights. That will get the viewers back in. That's going to get people talking about Monday nights again. Maybe it will. Maybe it would get people talking about Monday nights again for all the wrong reasons and all the reasons that people are talking about SmackDown last night. Thank God for the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match, because otherwise that show would have been universally panned because of that horrible, horrible opening segment. And it's the latest of awful creative on SmackDown. Some of the creative we have seen on SmackDown in the last 6 to 9 months has been appalling. You have an Olympian, someone with the skills of Chad Gable, being subjected to short jokes, being called Shorty G, and dressing up like a basketball player. Because get it, he's not tall like a basketball player, he's short. So if we dress him up like a basketball player, it even emphasises even more that he's short. You have the never-ending Roman Reigns versus King Corbin feud, in which King Corbin is obsessed with dog food and rubbing dog food on people and barking fluffy dogs. Now we have the Jeff Hardy drunken hit and run and urine test angle, when Jeff Hardy is still in legal proceedings over his last DUI in October. We have Elias getting thrown off perches and being run down by cars and murdered every week. We have Goldberg beating The Fiend in just 3 minutes in Saudi Arabia. This is what we're going to get on Monday Night Raw. And honestly, what must Fox think? What must they think? They must be looking at this going, we have been conned. We have been had. We paid $1 billion for this. We wanted ratings. We wanted sports-centric professional wrestling, and we got this. We got dog food. We got short jokes. We got urine. We got hit and runs. We got guys in their 50s beating the hottest superstars in 3 minutes. I mean, what must they think? The Fox executives must be looking through that contract going, is there any way we can get out of this? Seriously? Seriously? The UFC left? Can we get them back from ESPN? We paid $1 billion for a urine segment. And the thing that annoys me even more, and I think the thing that frustrates me the most about it, is this segment, we talked about consolidating the creative team here. The creative for Raw, it's been terrible. And the ratings for SmackDown have been fine. No, they haven't. They've been going down as well, by the way. But this alleged creative team couldn't even be creative enough to update a segment from 2006, from 14 years ago. It was an exact replica of that segment, down to the last line used. It was the exact last line used. They couldn't even be bothered to update it. Come on, creative team, it's in your title. Be creative. If you're going to rip something off, at least try to make it look different. If you're doing this at school, you'd be done for plagiarism. Come on. And it was just bad. It was awful. And if this is what we're going to get on Raw, then that show is going to become even more unbearable to watch every Monday night. 3 hours of that kind of creative. I mean, they were trying to be serious, but at some points it was comically bad. That giant jug of wee. What was that? What was that? Why couldn't Sheamus just get under Jeff Hardy's skin? Why couldn't he just call him a junkie? Talk about how he's had so many second chances. You know, he's blown all these chances. Why should we trust him? How can we trust a liar and a junkie? Why does urine need to be involved in this segment? Why does urine need to be involved in this feud? And I'll tell you why urine has to be involved in this feud. Because we have a 74-year-old man, the chairman of WWE, Vince McMahon, with his right-hand man, Bruce Pritchard, who have the warped brains of a teenager. That is why. And they have the sense of humour of a teenager. A teenager, by the way, that isn't that funny and thinks they're hilarious, and everyone just tuts every time they do a joke. I mean, the biggest scam in WWE history isn't all the controversies they've done, isn't the trials that they've got out of, isn't ICO Pro. It's getting Fox Network to pay $1 billion for this awful content. And, you know, Raw is a mess. Well, so is SmackDown. So is SmackDown, because that segment was just unbearable. Unbearable. Of course, as always, this is just one man's very, very vented opinion today. What did you think of the urine test segment? Was it bad? Was it comically bad? Or somehow, some way, did you enjoy it? Maybe you share the same sense of humour as Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. Is this creative we're going to get every Monday night on Raw? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that in a few seconds by clicking subscribe at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. You can also go to our channel and subscribe to us there. Look at all the videos that we've uploaded onto YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms at 365Wrestle on Twitter, at WrestleNews365 on Facebook and Instagram. If it's on social media, we are on it. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today, and I'll speak with you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.